Here's what nobody's telling you. While you're obsessing over finding that 10% stock return, you're bleeding money at 100% guaranteed rates and calling it normal life. Let me blow your mind with some math. A $200 car payment you avoid doesn't just save you $2,400 a year. It also saves you $200 a month. Over 30 years at 10% return, that's $452,000. You didn't skip a car payment. You just bought a house. Meanwhile, that amazing investment everyone's bragging about, it might yield 8% if you're lucky, 0% if the market tanks, and a negative 30% if you panic sell. Here's the truth that makes financial advisors uncomfortable. Frugal choices compound faster, safer, and more powerfully than almost any investment you'll ever find, and it's guaranteed. Today, I'm breaking down the 7 ways frugal decisions create wealth that investing alone never could. And number 7, it's the compound effect that builds generational empires while everyone else is gambling on quarterly returns. If you're ready to stop chasing returns and start guaranteeing wealth, smash that subscribe button right now and comment "Frugal wins." Let me show you the first compound effect that changes everything. Point 1. The debt avoidance compound. Compound effect number 1. The reverse interest miracle. Look, everyone's out here chasing investment returns like they're hunting for buried treasure. I found a mutual fund that averages 9%. My financial advisor says I can get 10% if I'm aggressive. Cool story. Meanwhile, you're paying 22% interest on a credit card balance because you wanted new furniture. Let me put this in perspective. You're celebrating an 8% return on your investments while simultaneously paying 20% interest on debt. That's like being excited you found $1 on the sidewalk while your house is on fire. The math doesn't work, people. Here's what kills me. Americans collectively pay over $1 trillion in interest every single year. Credit cards, car loans, student loans, personal loans, buy now, pay later schemes. We're literally paying banks 18 to 24% guaranteed returns while hoping our index funds might give us 10. The compound effect of avoiding debt is more powerful than any investment return you'll ever find. And it's guaranteed. No market risk, no timing issues, just pure mathematical certainty. Let me tell you an ancient story from Babylon that explains this perfectly. There was this guy, let's call him Dave, who wanted to throw an epic celebration to show everyone how successful he was. The problem was he didn't have the money, so he borrowed 100 silver pieces. No big deal, he thought. I'll pay it back from my future income. Interest in ancient Babylon was brutal, 20% per year. Year 1, he owed 120. Didn't pay it off because life happened. Year 2, 144. Year 3, 173. The interest was compounding against him, and it was growing faster than he could earn. Fast forward 10 years, and those 100 silver pieces had become 619 pieces owed. He worked constantly, but the debt grew faster than his income. Eventually, he became what they literally called a debt slave. He was owned by his creditors. His entire life was working to pay interest on money he'd spent years ago on one party nobody even remembered. Meanwhile, his neighbor, let's call him Smart Steve, lived simply. Saved slowly. Never borrowed a dime. After 10 years, Steve was wealthy, not because he made more money, because he wasn't paying compound interest to everyone else. The lesson that changed my life. Interest working for you builds empires. Interest working against you destroys lives. Here's the math that should terrify you. Say you've got $5,000 on a credit card at 20% interest. If you only make minimum payments, you'll pay over $10,000 total, and it'll take you 15 years to pay off. That's not a purchase. That's financial suicide on a payment plan. But flip it. Say you avoid that $5,000 debt and instead invest it at 10% return. After 20 years, you've got $33,000. The difference between having that debt and not having it isn't $5,000, it's $43,000. That's the compound effect. Every dollar of debt you avoid is working for you instead of against you. It's not just about the money you didn't borrow, it's about the interest you didn't pay, plus the gains you could make instead. I know a young couple who wanted the perfect Instagram wedding, borrowed $30,000. Sounds reasonable, right? Wrong. At 18% interest, they spent 7 years paying it off. Total paid $47,000. $17,000 in interest for one day. At their 10th anniversary, they sat down and calculated what that $30,000 would be worth if they'd had a simple wedding and invested the difference instead. At 10% return over 10 years, $78,000. They paid $47,000 for one day and gave up $78,000 for their future. Total cost of that wedding decision, $125,000. For one day, nobody even remembers except them. She told me through tears, we thought we were starting our life together. We were actually starting it $125,000 behind. The compound effect of that one decision cost us more than any investment could ever make up. Here's the truth bomb. The ROI of avoiding bad debt is unbeatable. You cannot find an investment that guarantees 20% returns with zero risk, but you can guarantee yourself 20% return not paying 20% interest. The compound effect of saying no to debt beats any yes to investing. But that's just the obvious part. Because of the next compound effect, it's happening in your paycheck right now. And most people are letting thousands slip through their fingers every single month without even noticing. Point 2. The lifestyle inflation reverse. Compound effect number 2. The raise that disappears. Here's a question that's going to sting. When was the last time you got a raise that actually made you wealthier? Think about it. You get promoted, 10% increase, you're pumped. Finally, I'm getting ahead. And then what happens? You upgrade your apartment because you deserve it. Lease a nicer car because the old one is embarrassing now. Start eating at better restaurants because you can afford it. 6 months later, you're still broke. Just broke at a higher income level. Your bank account looks the same or worse because now you've got bigger payments. This is the lifestyle inflation trap, and it's compounding against you faster than you realize. Every time your income goes up and your expenses rise to match, you reset to zero. You're running faster on the treadmill, but you're not getting anywhere. Let me tell you a story from the Talmud that explains this perfectly. There was a farmer who had a magic barrel. This barrel would expand to fit whatever grain he poured into it. Small harvest, the barrel stayed small. Large harvest, the barrel grew bigger. At first, he thought he'd won the lottery. I'll fill this barrel and be wealthy. But here's what happened. Every time he poured grain in, the barrel expanded. He could never fill it. He could never say enough. The more he had, the more space there was to fill. His needs grew exactly as fast as his abundance. His neighbor had a regular barrel, fixed size. When his harvest grew, the barrel overflowed. He had a surplus, actual wealth, real excess he could save or trade. The Talmud's lesson cuts deep. The man whose needs expand with his income will never be satisfied. The man whose needs stay fixed becomes wealthy automatically. That magic barrel is your lifestyle, and most people let it expand every time they make more money. Here's how this compounds. Let's say you're making $75,000 a year and living comfortably. You get a 10% raise, that's $7,500 more annually. You've got two choices. Choice A, upgrade your lifestyle to match. Nicer apartment, better car, fancier habits. Your expenses rise by $7,500. Net wealth gain, zero. You feel richer. Your bank account knows you're not. Choice B, keep the same lifestyle. Invest that $7,500 raise every year. After 20 years at 10% return, you've got $429,000. Read that again, $429,000. From one frugal choice, not upgrading your lifestyle when your income increases. That's the compound effect of resisting lifestyle inflation. It's not sexy. Nobody's going to be impressed. But it's guaranteed wealth. I knew a guy making $50,000 who lived in a modest apartment, drove a paid-off Honda, and cooked at home. His friends thought he was struggling. Then he got promoted to $80,000. Everyone expected the upgrades. Time to move to a nicer place, get a better car, live a little. He didn't change a thing. Same apartment, same car, same life. invested the $30,000 difference every year. His friends made fun of him. Dude, you got a huge raise and you're still living like you're broke. 15 years later, he retired at 52 with $1.2 million in investments. Are his friends making $120,000 now? Still working, still broke, still upgrading with every raise. He told me they compounded their lifestyle. I compounded my freedom. Every raise they spent became a nicer prison. Every raise I saved became another year of my life back. The compound effect here is exponential. It's not just the money you save, it's the fact that as your income grows and expenses stay flat, the gap widens. Year 1, you save $7,500. But then you get another raise. Now you're saving $12,000. Then another, now $18,000. The savings accelerate geometrically while your lifestyle stays comfortable and constant. Meanwhile, the lifestyle inflator is trapped. Every raise brings bigger payments. They're compounding their expenses, which means they're compounding their dependence on their paycheck. They can never stop. They can never slow down. They're financially successful but completely enslaved. Here's the painful truth. Income growth only creates wealth if lifestyle stays flat. Your raise doesn't make you rich. What you don't spend it on does. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between working until you're 70 and retiring decades early. Because of this next compound effect, it's so simple, people overlook it, but it's responsible for more millionaires than the stock market ever created. Point 3. The small decision avalanche. Compound effect number 3. The latte that bought a house. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Here we go with the latte thing again. And yeah, I get it, you're sick of hearing about coffee. But stick with me because this isn't about coffee. It's about the fact that you're dismissing the compound effect of small decisions while wondering why you're not wealthy. It's just $5, it doesn't matter. That sentence has destroyed more financial futures than the stock market crash of 2008. Because you're right, $5 doesn't matter. Once. But you're not doing it once, you're doing it every single day. And that compounds. Most people are bleeding $500 to $1,000 a month in small cuts they don't even notice. $5 here, $10 there, $20 somewhere else. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. And the whole time they're saying, I need to find better investments. No, you need to stop the bleeding. Let me tell you a parable that Jesus told, but I'm going to tell it in a way that hits your wallet. A master gave his servant 100 coins to manage. The servant looked at them and said, I'll be smart with the big amounts. The small stuff doesn't matter. Every day, he spent 1 coin on small pleasures. Coffee, lunch out, little conveniences. It's just 1 coin, he'd say. 365 days later, he'd spent 365 coins. More than 3 times what he started with. He was broke despite making good money because he dismissed the small decisions. Another servant got the same 100 coins, but he saved every single coin, even the small ones. He understood that small amounts compound into large ones. After 10 years, the first servant was living paycheck to paycheck, wondering why he couldn't get ahead. The second servant was wealthy beyond measure. The difference wasn't income, it was respect for small decisions. Jesus said it this way, whoever is faithful in small things will be faithful in large things. The financial translation? Small, frugal choices compound into massive wealth. Here's the math that should wake you up. That $5 daily coffee, that's $150 a month, $1,800 a year. Invested at 10% for 30 years, that's $339,000. You're not buying coffee, you're drinking a beach condo. But I love my coffee. Great. Make it at home for 50 cents. Same caffeine, same morning ritual. You just saved $288,000 over 30 years. You're welcome. Let's keep going. Buying lunch out every day at $15 instead of packing a 3 lunch? That's $12 a day, $3,120 a year. Over 30 years invested at 10%? $588,000. $500,000 you're eating in mediocre sandwiches. That gym membership you haven't used in 4 months at $80 a month? Over 30 years, that's $181,000 you paid to feel guilty. Add those three things together: coffee, lunch, unused gym, and you've got $1.1 million. $1.1 million in small decisions you dismissed as not a big deal. I'm not making this up. This is basic compound interest math that nobody wants to look at because it's too uncomfortable. I know a woman who tracked every small expense for 1 month. Just 1 month. She found $600 going to stuff she didn't even value. Subscriptions she forgot about, impulse buys on Amazon, convenience fees, daily small purchases. She cut it all. Put that $600 a month into index funds. 25 years later, that $600 became $760,000. $750,000 from cutting expenses she didn't even miss. She told me, "Everyone said I was cheap for caring about $5 here and $10 there. They called me obsessive. But I wasn't cheap. I was building a fortune one small decision at a time." They're still working at 67. I retired at 55. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Small expenses are only small once. Compounded over decades, they're the difference between freedom and financial bondage. Every financial guru wants to sell you on finding the next hot stock. Nobody makes money telling you to skip the ladder. But one is gambling. The other is mathematical certainty. The compound effect of small frugal choices is invisible daily, barely noticeable monthly, obvious yearly, and absolutely life-changing over decades. Wait, there's something you need to pay attention to if you don't want to lose everything without realizing it. Because of this next compound effect, it's the one that separates people who retire early from people who never retire at all. And it has nothing to do with how much you make. Point 4. The time freedom multiplication. Compound effect number 4. Years of life compounding. Here's a question that's going to rearrange your brain. What if I told you that retirement isn't actually about money? It's about time. And every frugal choice you make doesn't just save money, it buys years of your life back. Most people think retirement is this magic number. I need $2 million to retire. Okay, great. But have you thought about when you'll hit that number? Because if you're spending $100,000 a year to maintain your lifestyle, you're going to be working until you're 70. And at 70, how many good years do you even have left? Meanwhile, someone spending $40,000 a year needs way less to retire and hits their number decades earlier. They retire at 45 with 25 healthy years ahead of them. Same income, completely different life outcome. The difference? Frugal choices compounding into time freedom. Let me tell you about Marcus Aurelius, the Emperor of Rome, who understood something most people never figure out. He could afford it literally. The entire Roman Empire was his. And you know what he did? He calculated his life in days, not years. He wrote in his journal, "I have perhaps 10,000 days remaining." Think about that. He was the most powerful man in the world, and he was counting his days because he understood they were finite. He wrote, "Each unnecessary expense costs me days of slavery. Every denarius I spend working for luxuries I don't need is a day I cannot spend in freedom, in study, in service to my people." So he chose a simple life, not because he couldn't afford luxury, because luxury cost him time, and time was the one currency even an emperor couldn't make more of. Here's how this compounds in real life. The 4% rule says you need 25 times your annual expenses to retire safely. So if you spend $60,000 a year, you need $1.5 million. If you spend $40,000 a year, you need $1 million. That frugal choice, living on $40K instead of $60K, just cut $500,000 off your retirement number. You know what that means? You just eliminated 10 to 15 years of working, just by spending less. But it gets better, because you're also saving that $20,000 difference every year, which means you're hitting your retirement number way faster. Let me show you the math that changed my life. Person A spends $60,000 a year and saves $20,000 annually. They need $1.5 million to retire. At that savings rate, it'll take them about 37 years to hit their number. They retire at 67 if they started at 30. Person B lives frugally on $40,000 a year and saves $40,000 annually. They need $1 million to retire. At that savings rate, they hit their number in about 17 years. They retire at 47 if they started at 30. Same starting income. Person A has worked for 37 years. Person B works 17 years. The difference? 20 years of freedom. 2 decades of life. That's the compound effect of frugal living, measured in time, not money. I know 2 brothers who prove this. Same job, same income, same starting point. Brother A spent everything. Nice house in the suburbs, new cars every 3 years, country club membership, expensive vacations. Looked successful. Worked until he was 67. Brother B lived frugally. Modest house, drove cars for 15 years, simple vacations, cooked at home. His coworkers thought he was struggling. He retired at 45. For the next 22 years, while Brother A was still commuting, sitting in meetings, answering emails, Brother B was traveling the world, learning languages, volunteering, being present for his grandkids' entire childhood. At 67, when Brother A finally retired exhausted, Brother B was 67 too, but he'd had 22 years of freedom. Brother A looked at him and said, "How did you do it?" Brother B answered, "You traded 22 years of your life for stuff you don't even remember buying." I traded stuff for 22 years of life I'll never forget. Same income, different choices. That's the compound effect. It's not measured in dollars, it's measured in years. In the mornings you wake up without an alarm. In the days you spend however you want. In decades of freedom, while everyone else is still grinding, your life is finite. The clock is ticking, whether you acknowledge it or not. Every frugal choice is time you're buying back. Every unnecessary expense is a day you're selling to your employer. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people. Because this next compound effect happens in your brain, not your bank account. And it might be more valuable than any investment you'll ever make. Point 5. The decision fatigue elimination. Compound effect number 5. The mental wealth multiplier. Here's something nobody talks about when they're preaching about investing. Every single spending decision you make drains your mental energy. And you're making about 35,000 decisions a day. A huge chunk of them about money. Should I buy this? Can I afford that? Is this worth it? Will I regret this? What if I need the money later? Your brain is exhausted before lunch, just from deciding whether to grab coffee or skip it. This is called decision fatigue, and it's destroying your wealth in ways you can't even see. Because when you're mentally drained from 1,000 micro decisions about money, you make terrible choices on the big stuff. But here's where frugal living compounds in a way investing never could. It eliminates decisions, and that mental freedom compounds into better life outcomes in every area. Let me tell you about Seneca. This guy was insanely wealthy, advisor to the Roman emperor, owned estates, and had more money than sense. But once a month, he'd practice what he called voluntary poverty. He'd live on bread and water, sleep on a hard floor, and wear his worst clothes. His rich friends thought he'd lost his mind. "Seneca, you can afford the best. Why are you living like you're broke?" His answer changed my entire perspective. He said, "I'm proving to myself that I need nothing so I can free my mind from worry. Every possession I own is a decision I must make daily. Keep it, maintain it, worry about losing it, protect it, upgrade it. The simple life means a simple mind. And a simple mind has energy for things that actually matter. Philosophy, friendship, service, creation." That's the compound effect. Frugal choices don't just save money, they save mental energy. And that energy compounds into productivity, creativity, peace, and wealth in ways you can't measure. Think about it. The guy with 5 streaming services has to decide what to watch every night. The guy with 1 has fewer choices, less stress, and more time actually watching instead of scrolling. The woman with a closet full of clothes spends 20 minutes every morning deciding what to wear. The woman with a capsule wardrobe throws on one of 10 outfits and gets on with her life. Every automated frugal choice is a decision you never have to make again. And those saved decisions compound into mental clarity that changes everything. Here's how I do it. I don't eat out Monday through Thursday. That's not a decision anymore. It's just the rule. That eliminates about 460 food decisions per year. My brain doesn't even engage. The answer is already no. I have been driving cars for 10+ years. That eliminates the constant should I upgrade stress every time I see a new car. Removes the temptation, the comparison, the FOMO. I make that decision once a decade instead of daily. I have $500 a month fun money. That's it. Anything I want comes from that budget. Once it's gone, I'm done for the month. No agonizing, no guilt, no complicated calculations. Simple rule, mental freedom. Each of these automated frugal choices saves me hundreds of decisions per year. That's thousands of micro-stresses eliminated. And the mental energy I save? I redirect it to my work, my relationships, my health, my creative projects. I know this executive makes $300,000 a year. Should be set, right? Wrong. He was constantly stressed about money despite the huge income. Every purchase was agony. Can I afford this? Should I buy that? What if I'm wasting money? Finally had a breakdown. Simplified radically. Sold the big house, downsized to one car, minimal wardrobe, canceled all subscriptions. His income didn't change, but the stress evaporated. He told me, I wasn't spending mental energy on money. I was spending it worrying about money. The frugal choices eliminated the worry. Suddenly, I could think clearly. My work improved. My relationships got better. I started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. The compound effect of mental peace? It's immeasurable, but absolutely massive. A clear mind makes better decisions. Better decisions create better outcomes. Better outcomes compound into wealth that stressed out minds could never create. It sounds simple, but the hardest part is what's about to be told next. Because of this compound effect, it's invisible in year 1, but completely dominates your financial life by year 20, and most people never figure it out. Point 6. The habit formation flywheel. Compound effect number 6. Behaviors that build themselves. Here's the thing about investing that nobody wants to admit. It requires constant discipline. You have to keep choosing to invest. Keep resisting the urge to panic sell. Keep fighting FOMO when your cousin's crypto is mooning. It's exhausting. But frugal habits, once they're formed, they run on autopilot. They compound because they become effortless. And the beautiful thing about habits is they build on each other like a snowball rolling downhill. Let me tell you what Aristotle figured out 2,400 years ago that most modern people still don't get. He had 2 students learning about excellence and wealth. The first student tried to make one perfect decision every single day. Today I'll resist this purchase. Today I'll choose the frugal option. It was exhausting, required constant willpower. By month 3, he was burned out, making exceptions, sliding back into old patterns. The second student didn't focus on perfect decisions. He focused on building tiny habits that would eventually become automatic. Pack lunch on Mondays, make coffee at home, walk instead of Uber when it's under a mile, buy used instead of new. After 1 year, the first student was tired, inconsistent, and had saved maybe $2,000. The second student's habits had become so automatic that he didn't even think about them anymore. He was saving $800 a month without any effort or willpower, just automatic systems running in the background. Aristotle said, "We are what we repeatedly do." Excellence is not an act, but a habit. The financial version? Wealth is not a decision, but a system of frugal habits that compound automatically. This is the compound effect everyone misses. Investing compounds your money. Frugal habits compound themselves. They get easier over time, not harder. And once you have several running simultaneously, they create a flywheel effect. Here's exactly how to do this. Start with one tiny frugal habit. Just one. Let's say you pack lunch 3 times a week. That's it. Doesn't sound like much. Saves you maybe $150 a month. Do it for 30 days until it feels automatic. You're not forcing it anymore. Your brain has wired it in. It's just what you do now. Then add a second habit. Make coffee at home. Another $120 a month saved. But here's the magic. The first habit is still running automatically. You're not using willpower on that anymore. So adding the second habit doesn't feel harder. After 60 days, both habits are automatic. You're saving $270 a month, and it feels easy. Add a third. Cancel unused subscriptions. Another $80 saved. After 90 days, you've got 3 frugal habits running on autopilot, saving you $350 a month. That's $200 a year without thinking about it. Over 20 years at 10% return, $241,000. From 3 simple habits you formed in 90 days. But here's where it gets wild. Each habit makes the next one easier. They stack. They build momentum. After 6 months of this, frugal thinking becomes your default. You don't have to force yourself anymore. You've literally rewired your brain. I watched a guy try the discipline approach to saving. He white-knuckled every decision. I will not spend. I will be disciplined. Lasted 6 months before he burned out completely and went on a revenge spending spree. He started over with my system. 1 tiny habit: brew coffee at home instead of Starbucks. After it felt automatic, he added Sunday meal prep. Then the library instead of buying books. Then generic brands at the grocery store. Then buying used electronics. 5 years later, he had 12 frugal habits running on total autopilot. He was saving $800 a month, and it required 0 effort. He told me, "I don't even think about it anymore. My default settings are frugal now. It's just who I am." That's the compound effect. The habits save money, yes, but they also compound in ease. They get simpler, not harder, and they build on each other until frugal living is effortless. Meanwhile, investing always requires active management. Market down, you have to resist panic. Market up, you have to resist FOMO. It never gets easier. But frugal habits? Year 1 takes willpower. Year 5 is automatic. Year 10 feels easier than breathing. The compound effect isn't just financial, it's behavioral. Frugal habits are the gift that keeps giving, getting easier and more valuable with every passing year. Don't jump to conclusions, because what comes next can change your perspective completely. This final compound effect is the one that builds dynasties while everyone else is chasing quarterly returns. And it's the reason wealthy families stay wealthy for generations. Point 7, the generational wealth transfer. Compound effect number 7, the family fortune formula. All right, here's where we go from building personal wealth to building something that outlives you. Because here's what nobody tells you about investing. It builds wealth in one lifetime. But frugal living, it teaches values that compound across generations. And that's the difference between leaving your kids money and leaving them wealthy. You know what's crazy? 90% of wealthy families lose everything by the 3rd generation. 90%. Grandpa builds the fortune. Dad maintains it. The grandkids blow it all. 3 generations from rags to riches, back to rags. But the families that stay wealthy for centuries, they don't just pass down money, they pass down frugal values. And those values compound forever. Let me tell you about the Rothschild family. In the 1800s, they became the wealthiest family in Europe. We're talking unfathomable riches. And everyone assumed they lived like kings. Gold toilets, diamond-encrusted everything, ridiculous excess. Wrong. Mayor Rothschild, the patriarch, had a family code. Live below your means, always. He taught this to his 5 sons. Each son became incredibly wealthy, and each one lived modestly. They didn't flaunt it, they saved aggressively. They invested wisely. And most importantly, they taught their children the same values. Generation after generation, the rules stayed the same. The Rothschild children weren't raised entitled. They were raised frugal. Every generation taught the next about delayed gratification, living simply, and building wealth quietly. Meanwhile, other wealthy families from that era, they lived lavishly, showed off their wealth, raised their kids in luxury. Those families were broke within 2 generations. Their kids never learned to build wealth, only to spend it. The Rothschilds? Still one of the wealthiest families in the world. 200 years later. Not because they invested better, because they understood something profound. Investments compound in one lifetime. Values compound forever. That's the compound effect nobody talks about. Money without wisdom is temporary. Wisdom without money can create both, but money plus wisdom passed down? That's a dynasty. Here's how this works in real life. You live frugally, save aggressively, build wealth. Leave your kids, let's say $500,000 each. Sounds great, right? But if you didn't teach them frugal values, they'll blow it in 5 years. I've seen it happen over and over. Inheritance gone on cars, trips, lifestyle upgrades. Money without wisdom evaporates. But if you teach them to live below their means, save 30%, invest 20%, live on 50%, that $500,000 becomes the foundation of multi-generational wealth. They don't spend it, they invest it, teach their kids the same. And suddenly you didn't just help one generation, you built an empire. Here's the action plan for generational frugal compounding. You start today. Live frugally. Save $500 a month for 30 years. At 10% return, you've got $1.1 million. Your kids start their adult lives with that $1.1 million. But more importantly, they start with the frugal values you modeled their entire childhood. They watched you pack lunches, drive old cars, say no to unnecessary spending, live with intention. So they don't blow the inheritance. They let it compound while adding their own $500 a month. 30 years later, they've got over $8 million. The original million grew, their contributions compounded, and they teach their kids the same. Your grandkids start with $8 million in frugal wisdom. By the time they're your age, generational wealth that can't be destroyed because the values that built it are baked into the family DNA. I know 2 families that prove this. Grandfather A made a fortune, left his grandson $400,000, but he never taught frugal values. The grandson thought money was for spending, blew it all in 5 years on cars, parties, impressing people, broke by 30. Grandfather B made less money, left each grandkid only $100,000, but every Sunday dinner he taught them, talked about compounding, showed them his frugal habits, explained delayed gratification, modeled living below means. 20 years later, every one of those grandkids is a millionaire. Not because they inherited more, because they inherited wisdom along with wealth. One of them told me, the money Grandpa left was nice, but the values he taught were priceless. He didn't just give us fish, he taught us to fish, taught us to save the fish, taught us to invest the fish. We'll teach our kids the same. This wealth won't disappear in 3 generations. It'll grow for 10. That's the ultimate compound effect. Money multiplies mathematically. Values multiply eternally. Combine them, and you don't just build wealth, you build a legacy that outlives you by centuries. Do you see anything unusual? The answer is right here. Frugal choices don't just compound financially, they compound mentally, behaviorally, and generationally. While everyone's gambling on market returns, the real wealth builders are making simple, certain choices that compound with mathematical inevitability. Here's what nobody wants to hear. You can't out-invest bad spending habits. Frugal choices compound with 100% certainty, while investments compound with hope and luck. The wealthy do both, but frugality always comes first. Pick one frugal compound choice this week. Cancel one unused subscription. Pack lunch instead of eating out. Make coffee at home. Say no to one impulse purchase, just one choice. Watch it compound. If this changed how you think about frugality versus investing, type frugal compounds in the comments right now. Which compound effect surprised you most? Let me know below. Smash that subscribe button because next week I'm dropping 7 frugal habits millionaires swear by that cost nothing, and it's going to blow your mind. Remember this, the stock market might give you 10% if you're lucky. Avoiding debt gives you 20% guaranteed. Cutting lifestyle inflation gives you unlimited returns. Small frugal choices give you exponential wealth. Stop gambling on returns you can't control. Start guaranteeing wealth with choices you can. The compound effect is waiting. Choose it.